Today, we're in for a treat as our guest is sharing his Aussie high school experience, stories, insights, and even a few surprises about what life is like in an Australian classroom. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Happy to be here.
Sweet. Okay, so can you please introduce yourself?
So my name's Richard Nguyễn. Just graduated year 12 studying at St Aloysius College, Cronulla, and I'm a soon-to-be first-year undergraduate at university.
Beautiful. All right, before we dive into the juicy details, I have a little fun for you.
So?
Okay, so it's called Legit Check. So here's how it works. You have to prove that you're Australian without saying I'm Australian.
Yes. I didn't hear that much in Vietnam. Go down for a surf. Get a bit of pub grub. Get a chicken palmy.
Chicken parmigiana.
Yeah, chicken parma if you're down in Victoria. Tim Tam Slam.
Okay, Tim Tam Slam. Yeah, definitely.
What else? Good barbecue. Stick to the stereotypes.
Chuck it on the barbie.
Yeah, strip on the barbie.
Okay.
Foreigners like to say.
That's very Aussie, mate. Now, our listener have a little taste of Australian culture. And let's take a step further. Let's dive into what a daily life like for a high school student. So let's start off with year 10. And then we can proceed to the next years in the next part, okay? So part 1, year 10, and life at school. So you mentioned that you went to St Aloysius.
That was only 11 to 12, and then I went to De La Salle Canberra for 7 to 10.
What type of school are they?
So they're both Catholic schools, and they run through the same system. It's just the 7 to 10 school is all boys, and the 11 to 12 school is co-ed. So
yeah. So one boys school, one co-ed, but they are both Catholic school.
Yeah.
So had it always been Catholic school for you from day one, from year 1?
No, I went to a public school from kindergarten to year 6.
Okay.
And then swapped over, yeah.
So what is the difference between public school and Catholic school? Because many Vietnamese parents, when they want to send their kids to Australia for school, and they're not sure what kind of option that they have.
Yeah.
So public school, Catholic school, and then private school. Can you give us a little bit of overview?
So they all basically have the same curriculum because they're all legally required to follow the government's set curriculum. Mm-hmm. It's just the main difference would be quality of the facilities as well as just the qualities of the teacher. Because public schools, they're state funded, which means pretty much the government feeds them all their money. They don't get any money from the families. Mm-hmm. And basically they have to hire teachers that go through the government system, and that doesn't always ensure the highest quality teachers. I've heard horror stories from mates that went to a public high school and their maths teacher was Chinese and couldn't speak English, so it's just you get that trade-off. So especially my parents okay, we'll send our son not to a private school because private school's a bit pricey out of area as well for where we live, but the trade-off with that is that your kids are getting sent to a good facility. Whereas when I went to a Catholic school, luckily I got into a good school, but not all Catholic schools are the best, especially depending on the suburb they're in. So your best source for looking for a good public school is probably just looking at HSC selection rankings.
You spend the majority of your time in Catholic school.
Yes.
So I would like to dive a little bit deeper into Catholic school.
Yeah.
Many Vietnamese parents, they think that lots of other subjects beside the ones that other school need to do.
The fundamentals.
Yes.
That's understandable because my parents were pretty intimidated with the idea of a Catholic school because they're he might have to go to church every day at 7 a.m. But it's really not. The system is a lot more modern, especially where I went to, and they don't really force religion on you. And because the only really time you feel forced to is if you go to a Catholic school in year 11 to 12, where you're required to study basically a religion subject, which is
11 to 12.
Yes, because that's when you choose your subjects. Whereas 7 to 10, you're forced into your subjects. You don't have any choice pretty much. The most experience you get of Catholicism is just you have to go to mass, and then but that's only maybe once every 2 to 3 months. So it's nothing big. and it's a good way to get out of class for 3 hours, so can't complain.
Yes. Okay, besides that, how is religion incorporated in daily life at school?
So the only thing really is if you are Catholic yourself or Christian denomination, midday you have to stand up, drop everything you're doing and say the Angelus, which will be just played through the loudspeakers, and that's about it. And some teachers, if they're a bit old school, they'll get you to say a quick prayer before you study, and then that's about it. Lord, please give us strength, or something like that, or Lord, please give us strength in our academic pursuits.
Environment at school compared to a public school or private school, what do you reckon is the difference here?
I think it depends on public schools, from what I've heard, because a couple of mates I only met in like year 10, year 11 and year 12 that came from public schools, it's like a lot more chaotic. The kids are a bit less regimented, so they're a bit kinder, they keep to themselves a bit more. They're not very, how do I say this? They don't muck around much, if people know what that means. It's just like, be a bit naughty, just cause trouble for no reason. Especially, there's a school in my area called Endeavour. They take in what a lot of us call fobs, which is just like people from the Pacific Islands. They can cause a bit of a ruckus here.
Okay, so it's more discipline.
Yeah, Catholic and Catholic schools, yeah.
Okay, requirement about the uniform, any difference?
Yeah, so the school I went to for 7 to 10, we had requirements, haircut requirements. Like the hair I had right now wouldn't go because it's too long.
Okay, how short must it be?
Maybe a bit longer than your haircut right now, eh? As well as just like my school, you had to always keep your shirt tucked in, always have a belt, shoes always need to be polished, shaved, clean shaved, yeah.
Do you have to wear a tie?
Winter we have to wear a tie, yes.
Okay.
And a blazer as well.
Yeah. In year 10, from the perspective of a year 10 student, what other activities besides academics that you think students should be focusing on, or in your case that you focus on back then?
Just have fun. It's all just like everyone's a bit more mature, and it feels like year 10 just feels like you're in the hospital waiting for medical results. Like you're about to go to year 11 and 12, which is everyone's like, oh, okay, this is where it's serious now. Because the way, like, especially in New South Wales, I feel the system goes, it's all cruisy, have a good time from like kindergarten to year 10. And then year 11, it gets a bit serious. And then year 12, it's just like, goddamn.
All right, so kindergarten to year 10, just chill, and then
have a good time.
11, game on face for what? Right. So what do you do? Hang out with friends? What kind of activities that you spend time with your friends?
Extracurricular or just like in school?
Both.
Well, in school, we'd have 2 breaks, 2 half-an-hour breaks. They're called recess and lunch. And that's just pretty much a good time, have a chat with your mates, play basketball.
Then, obviously, as wonderful and fun the experience at high school can be, so lots of challenges may arise. And many parents and many students, they have the concern, or even they haven't thought about that before sending their kids to Australia. The concern is about, handling the difficult situation, like bullying, like isolation, or academic pressure. So have you yourself or any of your mates, be in the same situation?
Yeah, I think when it comes to academic pressure, everyone's in the same boat as you, so everyone can relate, especially in year 11 to 12, because the way the system works in year 12 is that if you don't do well, everyone else gets dragged down because of you. So there's a bit of pressure, but the teachers, like especially at my school, they're so like willing to cooperate and let you talk to them if things get stressful. And bullying, it's just playground stuff. If you're scared of getting bullied because you're Asian by a bunch of Aussie kids, the Aussie kids are probably a minority at most schools nowadays. Generally, the Asians are the majority.
Majority? Yeah.
So I don't think that's much to worry about.
So in your school, majority is Aussie.
Yeah, but that's because of the area. But generally, the public schools and Catholic schools that mainly take in international students, like Penshurst, I'd say, further east you go, maybe northeast, it's just mainly like Asian. So you always have people that you can connect to and relate with. Like at my school, I was the only Asian, but it's because I was born in Australia. It's just easier for me.
Yeah, fair enough. So let's say, do you have any advice for an international student, a Vietnamese student going to Australia and study there, and it's difficult for them to make friends? What should they do?
I'd say it's just remember your culture. We're also trying to adopt the country, like the culture of the country that's taking you in. So many international students aren't even aware of like the Aboriginal people.
Okay.
I'd say it's just stick to what you know. You'll find people out there. Generally, especially in uni, if you're in the same course as someone, you've got the same goals. That's already an easy conversation starter. Like, maybe you hate like the lecturer, you go, God, I hate this bloke, and they're like, oh yeah, I hate them too. That's like, I think nowadays people tend to stress over it too much. Like even I stress about it, but at the end of the day, there's 7 billion people on earth. One of them's got to be your friend.
Okay, so be positive.
Yeah.
And then just talk to people. That's it. We are coming to the end of year 10. What do you need to do to wrap it up? So any tests that you need to do?
So for my school, we did a yearly examination, and those results would go to the year 11 and 12 school, which is then you would submit your course preferences for year 11 to 12, and they'll basically just look at the marks you got in the yearly exam for year 10 and basically guide you to say if those courses are the right fit for you. And you'd also have to do a thing called ROSA testing. So basically ROSA testing, I'll keep it brief because it's not too important.
Okay.
You just basically need to pass it if you want to leave year 10. That's about it. Like you just thumbs up, you can leave year 10, you're ready to go to big boy school, year 11 and 12, or just do a trade.
Okay. So it's compulsory for all the
year 10 students. Yep.
Any extra classes?
Outside of school, no, that's mainly optional. Some people do tutoring, some people do like everything called QMON. So it's basically like you drop your kids off for about an hour and a half, and you have to work through these booklets like maths, English, general ability, and then like they'll only let you go home until you finish all the books and get them marked. So I did that for about 5 years.
From
kindergarten to about year 5. And then I swapped over to a thing called pre-uni, which is just another extracurricular thing that's optional.
How popular is tutoring? Is it so popular here? All the kids?
Yeah, I know. It's only really popular till you get about to year 11 and 12. That's where like everyone really cares because that's when the marks matter the most.
Okay.
Because that's when like having a tutor is cool. Whereas like kindergarten to year 10, like if someone does well on a test and then everyone goes like, did you get a tutor? Like, ew, what's wrong with you? Like, it's a bit like negative like stigma around it.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I wish I could have done that in my school because back in Vietnam, year 10, the hits from something like the HSC, which is an examination for all the students in Vietnam to get admitted into university, and then the hit is why it's
pressure.
Yeah, the pressure is already there from year 10, I reckon. But obviously, more real from year 11 and year 12. What are your feelings towards, school in general up to year 10? Like,
I think I was pretty lucky to have a fairly positive experience. Like, just some trouble with mates, but like, you'll probably never see them again if you have that much trouble with them. But I'm lucky enough to have gone to like a fairly good school. Good time. Just after school, don't even think about school, just go for a ride with mates, go down to the beach, have a swim.
Yeah.
Pretty relaxed lifestyle.
Okay. Right, so year 10 certainly sounds like a defining time. It's exploring, extracurricular activities and also, navigating the academic pressure, a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Prepare for year 11 and year 12.
Especially like letting you find what you might enjoy, because year 9 to 10 they let you do a thing called an elective. So basically they let you choose 2 subjects from a batch that you can also do on top of like the mandatory subjects.
So 2 subjects only.
Yeah.
So not much flexible, but still something that you can pick up.
Yeah, but I feel like it's like most people know what they're kind of interested in, so it's not too difficult. Like, so generally like the pool of subjects will be like STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's like the kids that are like very good with those types of things. There's art, there's drama, there's music, so like your creative and performing arts. There's engineering as well, just by itself. There's multimedia, which is just basically letting you understand like how like digital content creation and like advertisement works and all that type of jazz. Yeah.
Can you pick economics or?
No, I can. Oh wait, no, economics is a thing. It just is not too popular because people at that age don't have too much of a care for it yet.
But you do actually have that option.
You do have an option. It's just like I didn't choose it, so it's a bit back in my mind. But yeah, there's economics and there's even geography here, history or a language.
Okay, so what did you go for?
I was a bit lazy, so I chose art and drama because those are the things that like I can just get A's in and just cruise to like a good mark. So that's why.
Do you reckon it's going to be helping you in the future?
Oh, no. To be completely honest, maybe drama helped me build up my confidence to talk a bit and public speak. Art kind of just helped me, how to say this in an eloquent way, I guess market myself more and kind of talk my way into good situations is how I would phrase it. And yeah, that's about it. So it's not really like, I guess it's not a matter of how does this directly affect you, how does this like affect you in like a nuanced and like multifaceted way that you can't really see at first.
Yeah, because sometimes you can connect the dots looking forward. Yeah, everything you do means something in the long run.
That's how it is.
Yeah. Right, so let's go to part 2. HSC, High School Certificate. That's how it's called in New South Wales. Year 11, Year 12, and the ticket to university. Let's start off with terms.
Yes, so year 11 is the shortest year in like your whole entire academic career. It starts February, mid to late February and ends in about October.
Yes.
And then, so that's 3 terms, but generally in an Australian year, you have 4 terms. Each term is about 10 to 11 weeks with a 2.5 week break in between. So unlike Vietnam where you just have one big break, as I've heard, or is that wrong?
So yeah, true. So basically the year, the academic year starts from September and then ends somewhere around May.
And then you just have a big chunk of time in between that.
And then summer.
Okay, so very different.
Back to school.
Very different to Australia.
Yes.
Because we get 4 breaks in between pretty much. So it starts January to October, as I said, and then you get your breaks in between each of the terms. And then, but during your October break, you have to come back, and that's when Year 12 starts. And then Year 12 ends in December, and then you get your summer break, which is a 6-week holiday. And
so October, Year 12? You start Year 12 from October?
Yeah, ends in December, so that's term 1 of Year 12 done.
And then you continue Year 12 until October the year after?
Yes.
And then that's it for Year 12?
Yeah, and then that's when your HSC examination starts. So after October.
To sum it up with all the previous years before Year 10, so always 4 terms, January, April, roughly, July, and October. And then that's it. The whole academic year is within one calendar.
One calendar year, unlike Vietnam where it's spread across 2. Yeah.
Understood. Let's talk about subjects. What did you pick?
So I just went for the route of things that I really enjoyed. So year 11, I chose economics, mathematics advanced, English advanced, software design and development, and modern history. And since I went to a Catholic school, I compulsory had to do studies of religion 2 unit.
Okay, let me interrupt you right there. So can you give us a brief overview of how the subjects work in year 11 and year 12?
Yeah.
Because obviously you have to select the subjects that is aligned with first HSC. The second thing is the requirement of the university degree.
Yeah.
So you had to know what you're going to be studying at university back then.
So some unis can be very pedantic about like what prerequisites they need. Like, you need to have specifically done this. But I know UTS and UNSW, they're like, this is assumed knowledge. So you don't actually have to really study that subject. It's just worrying about getting your ATAR as high as possible.
Okay, but any support from school that helps you
Choose your subject.
Yes.
So basically we have a thing called a careers counselor, which they'll look at your subjects that you're doing in year 11 and how well you're performing in those, and then kind of guide you towards what uni course aligns with those the most.
But, is it about what subject should you choose? All right, this is the career that you might want to do, or what is the approach?
The approach is like, you seem to do well and enjoy these specific subjects. Maybe this links to a uni course better. Or maybe if you're going, I want to do this uni course, can you tell me if I can get in? And they'll run the numbers. If they go, no, like you don't have enough, they'll guide you on how to improve it, yeah. It's a very independent process. The teachers are not too heavy-handed in it. They just, hopefully they know that you've set your own goal and they'll help you achieve it to the best of their ability.
So in your case, did you talk to parents, or did you talk to any specialist? By specialist, I mean the people, like successful people working in the career path that you might want to go for?
Me personally, I'm very privileged to have parents that work in this field. So it was always just a bit like, okay, I'm very interested in this. Do you think this course is a good fit for me? And they're like, yeah, it's good. All right, let's pursue it. Whereas some kids, they kind of they're winging it. I have some mates, they're already done year 12. They don't know what they want to do with uni. So that's where we have a thing in our culture called a gap year, where you just take a year off, thinking about uni, to give you time to think about what you want to do.
So let's say you take a gap year and then you go to the UK and you work there for a year.
Yeah.
Right. When you come back, how can you get into a university?
You can still use your ATAR. Your ATAR will stick with you until you pretty much graduate from uni and get your bachelor's or maybe master's.
Any other supports that you received as a high school student back then from school?
Yeah, you can always ask your teachers for advice. Teachers are always sending you, happy to give you feedback on drafts. I don't know if drafts is
Drafts?
Yeah, you write one thing up and then, but it's not really the final product. You give it to your teacher and tell you, okay, go rid of this, add this, or something like that. So it's just giving you feedback. They're very willing to do that. And some people, if you're getting too stressed by it, the teacher is always there to be pseudo therapist to the kids. But also we have a thing called a year coordinator, which is just someone that's also could teach you one of your subjects, but also looks after the whole year group.
Is the workload from year 11, year 12 a lot more than the previous one?
Oh yeah, definitely. 7 to 10, you were lucky to get homework.
Wow, no homework at all.
Barely, yeah.
Wow, so what did you do at night? So finish school, go to the beach, hang out with mates?
If it's at night, you message the boys, you go, bit of Xbox. Yeah, everyone's like, yeah. And then you're tonight, and everyone's like, yeah. And then you just play games, so it's just a bit.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, I wish I could have done that at my school back then.
It's pros and cons with everything.
How about year 11 and year 12?
That's when we actually got homework, and it was just teachers all right, you gotta study this chapter of this textbook, and then I also want you to watch this video, take notes on it, please. It's all I'd like you to do this homework, but if you don't do it, you're really just only ruining your own academics, and that's about it. It's more of a trust system. Very few teachers actually go out of their way to check it.
Let's talk about assessment. So only the material that you learn in year 11 and year 12 will be in the HSC tests?
No, so yes and no to that question, just to make it more complicated. Year 11 is pretty much teaching you the skills that you need to understand and learn the content in year 12. So year 11 is kind of the baby step up to year 12.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying yes to the HSC question, but no, because it's only stuff that you've learned from the day year 12 started to the day year 12 ended. You only get tested on that, nothing from year 11.
Okay, that's good then.
For domestic students, people would try their hardest on year 11 to get early entry so they don't have to do the HSC.
Okay, so that's a golden ticket to the university.
As well, yeah. International students, if like your first ever year in Australia is year 11, it's a bit of a hard ask, especially because social aspect, cultural aspect, so there's a lot of things to get used to. Even like the way like kids are taught, it's a lot of things to balance.
The way of learning, the language, and then
it's a big ask to like do well enough.
Let's talk about the ATAR. How does it work?
So just to break it down to its fundamentals, year 12 you need to have a minimum of 12 units. And so for me, I did modern history. That was 2 units contributed to my total 12, and most subjects are 2 units. Aside from studies of Catholic thought, which is 1 unit, but you only did that if you've maybe done like extension maths as well, and you didn't want to do studies of religion 2 unit. So you just did studies of Catholic thought to meet the requirement of studying a religion at a Catholic school.
Yes. But is it the requirement is 10 units for year 12 or 12 units for year 12?
So you can do 12 units for year 12, but the minimum requirement is 10. And the benefit of the 10 is that you get a extra study period every day instead of a class.
You finish your year 12?
Yep.
You complete you finish your examination?
Yeah, your school-based assessment, and
yes.
Then you go into the HSC exams.
What is school-based assessment?
So the school-based assessment is a exam you do at the end of every term for each of your subjects. And basically they gather the marks from those 4 examinations from each of the subjects, and they basically put you up against each student that also did that subject, and they create a ranking.
Okay, so ranking within your school or your class?
Our school.
Okay, within your school. Okay.
The mark that you got in the HSC exam doesn't actually go to you. The mark you got in the HSC exam goes to the person of that rank. So say bottom ranked in, let's say like English, but I got an 85 in the HSC exam. I wouldn't get an 85, I would get the bottom mark, which is a 75, if that makes sense.
So basically, to make it simple, so your ATAR will depend on how good you perform.
Yep.
It will depend on how good your mates in the same school perform.
Yep.
As a cohort, compared to the other school in the state.
Yeah.
Right. So it's clear that year 11 and year 12, it's not a walk in the park. It's, balancing the workload. It's prepping for the HSC.
Trying to maintain your social life as well.
Social life and mapping out your future too. So lots of things to do. All right. Thank you for the insights that you've been sharing with us today. And now you are off to the next chapter in your life, which is university.
Yeah.
And we wish you all the best with your university journey ahead. And maybe in a few years' time, we sit here together and then talk about your experience in university. Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, Ang. Thank you.